everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the Mill Valley Film Festival Drive-In. This is the 43rd Mill Valley Film Festival, and my name is Frida Batamosi, and I'm on the programming team for the festival, and I'm so excited to have you all here to see this amazing film mainstream. It is just absolutely a stunning film. You're definitely going to enjoy it, but before we start, we have a treat for you. We have members of the cast and crew here to do a brief intro and conversation, so you learn a little bit more about the film. So I'm just going to introduce everyone who's here. We have co-writer and director Goa Coppola. We have the co-writer Tom Stuart. We have actor Nat Wolff. And we have actor Andrew Garfield. And we have actor Hawke.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, of course, I want to say thank you for joining us all here virtually at the Mill Valley Film Festival. My first question is, what inspired the project? Why did you decide to make a film specifically about social media influencers?
Where the idea came about, I had seen the movie Face in the Crowd and I really fell in love with it and related to it. But at the same time, I had friends that were representing social influencers and I wanted to kind of get to understand that world a little bit better. Once we I always had the sort of same actors in mind. We did a lot of workshopping to figure out what the script is and kind of all our different sort of experiences with what was going on. And Tom was very much a part of that, and we kind of got to collaborate. And Tom, do you want to add?
Yeah, just that it was the most extraordinary collaborative process in that as a writer, I was there all the way through the workshops as well. And we were all sharing, like Gia said, our personal experiences with these issues. And it meant that as a writer, I was able to absorb everybody's feelings about it. And then when it came to actually writing the script, with Gia, we were already so loaded with information. And it was so great is that information it came from the performers as well. So everyone had some sort of ownership over the issues being discussed. So it all felt like we all had a real part. We were like almost physically involved in the storytelling, our own backgrounds. And so it was just the most extraordinary collaborative experience, really. It was amazing, very immersive.
You guys want to add to that?
When Gia reached out, and obviously we had been friends before we started working together, and Gia's kind of impulse and intention and the kind of seed of the project was so thrilling to me, because it felt like it was addressing a phenomenon that was affecting all of us in subconscious, unconscious, and sometimes conscious ways, especially young people. And specifically, I think what Gia was drawn to was how, and correct me if I'm wrong, but how young women, young girls were specifically being affected by this new social media age, and how a sense of identity and self-worth and a sense of belonging in the culture at large was being massively affected by these new platforms of interaction and connection. And for me, that's a worthy cause to start to interrogate and understand and try to shine a light onto. And it's something that I've been fascinated. So our fascination was kind of aligned in that. And on top of which, all of, Gia's references from a face in the crowd to the rest just felt so inspiring to me. And for me, to add to that, my fascination is in a lot of ways is with a phenomenon that we're seeing now in the culture of making the mistake sacred and kind of blessing the mistake and kind of rewarding the mistake and rewarding the kind of man's inhumanity to man or women's inhumanity to women over and over and over again, and how that's the thing that we're putting on the pedestal, and we keep electing to high office, not only in the US, but in the UK and kind of all around the world in lots of ways. So I found that really kind of fascinating. It seems like what Gia wanted to do was to dig into how do we get there, and what are the ripple effects that has on the culture at large, and specifically individuals and young people. So yeah, it was an incredibly exciting thing to be able to collaborate with her on from an early stage and kind of be in the sandbox of it with her on.
So my next questions are for Nat and Maya. How did you come to the project? So Nat, you've worked already with Gia on Palo Alto. So how did you learn about this project? How it was brought to you? And then what interested you in the film?
Weirdly enough, Gia and I never met on Palo Alto, which was really, I had like the best experience of my life working on Palo Alto. I was 17 when I made it, and we all became, best friends since then. And Gia has been like an older sister to me since then. And over the last years, when in between making Mainstream, Gia would always bring up Mainstream at some point in the night of hanging out, maybe after a couple of drinks, like, we'll be shooting Mainstream soon. And at a certain point, the years have passed, I'm like, yeah, sure we will. And then one day we really were. And it's just, I hope to work with Gia for the rest of my life.
Well, I, on the other hand, never want to work with Gia ever again. It was a scarring experience, and I hate her. Mom, you can't walk through frame. Sorry. Anyway, I came to the project more because I did a photo shoot with Gia, and I read kind of an early draft of the script and shown interest in it, and then I did a photo shoot with Gia, and she was such an elegant she had this way of capturing my image that no one ever had before, where the pictures that she took of me looked like me and felt like remarkably human, and I felt remarkably myself. And that made me really dying to get to be sort of seen by her in a moving image. And then I read a newer draft of Mainstream, and I got to come in and do a reading of it, and everything just sort of felt like it clicked into place. And Gia and I loved talking to each other and working together, and it all felt really natural and good, and the material really spoke to me. And I really wanted to tell Frankie's story. So that's sort of how I entered.
I had a question about whether or not there was much improvisation on the set, or was it, because there's definitely moments within the film that could or could not have been improvised. Was there much of that on set?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think again, it was what Gia wanted the film to feel like, and I think it was, again, just a blessing. And just to add to what Nat was saying, like, to be able to, I think, I'm not going to wax too lyrical while he's here, but I think he's just one of the great actors of his generation. And I just was as excited to work with him as he claimed to work with me. But I think the improvisational element of things was just, I don't know, it kind of added a level of excitement to not know what we were gonna be doing from take to take, and to have actors that you were kind of in trust with, and director and writer that were kind of allowing the thing to unfold, and with Gia guiding it in the way that she was instinctively wanting to guide it. It felt, I don't know, there was a 2-week period of the shoot, and I said it to Gia. I said, this is the best 2 weeks I've ever had working on it, because it was the freest I'd been allowed to feel, and I felt like I could literally go anywhere, do anything, and it would be absolutely taken care of, and it wouldn't be judged, it wouldn't be used if it didn't work. And I think the only other time I felt that was with Terry Gilliam, and that's one of his brilliant things, is like, I want you to fall, I want you to fail, I want you to do everything that feels terrifying and dangerous, and trust that I'm only going to put the stuff in that actually works. And so I think one thing that Nat did was he create, with in collaboration with Tom and Gia, is that he created a moral center out of this character. He created the heart, solid rock moral center, and that was a lot of his own, that came from his own inner self. So it was it was an amazing thing to witness that occur as well. Those kinds of things grow.
I mean, from the off, right from the very beginning, it was always such a fantastically creative and collaborative environment, even before we started shooting. And, as people have said, Gia ran these workshops, and we all lived together, ate together, watched films together, discussed issues in the film, discussed our own, what was going on in our own lives and everything. So it felt that by the time that it's incredible for a writer to be immersed in that, because then when it came to write it, I've had a pretty clear idea of where everyone was at. And it meant that there was a bit of each of us in the film. We were all personally invested in it already. And then, so when it came to shoot it, that just grew and grew and grew. So people were able to really springboard and, take things in the direction that felt right. And but it was always tasteful, and it was always within the parameters that we'd all set, because we'd set them together. And we all had a vision of what this film was, which was, so it was quite an amazing experience, really.
And one of the things, because we are at a drive-in when we would traditionally be in a movie theater, and part of that's because we're in the pandemic. The film does take a very interesting look at social media and the way we engage with it. And now we're in this time in which people are probably engaging with social media a lot more than they normally would, because we're at home. So I wanted to know each of your opinions on social media in general, and what did working on this film, did that change or your way of engaging with social media, or kind of reinforce how you see social media?
Can I take a stab at that first quickly? I just had a thought that I want to get out. I watched this documentary the other day that was in part about social media, and they used this expression saying that, a tool, initially technological tools like a bicycle, for example, are just there waiting to be utilized. And they're not addictive. They don't have this kind of psychological effect on your head, the use of a bicycle. But social media and the way in which technology has advanced starts to not just be sitting on the shelf waiting to be used, waiting to serve you. It asks you to serve it. It calls to you. It taps on your shoulder. It requests attention and energy from you in a way that technology really never has before. And that relationship dynamic, the way it's changing, the way that people are not just commanding technology, but technology commands us, and preys in some ways on our psychological weak points and our vulnerabilities, and uses it to make us exploit ourselves and exploit each other, is really complicated and dangerous. But it's also this wonderful tool for connection and creativity and growth. And I think that balance is something that we're all negotiating. And really, it is that kind of controversy, is how to use it as a tool to make art and express yourself without getting kind of pulled into the vacuum of it asking more of you than you're asking of it, that I think this movie is about, both in the art that Frankie and Jake and Link are trying to make together, and in the art that the movie is itself. And I've been thinking about it a lot more and more lately because of coronavirus and because of, the changing, strange demands on one's time and the way that one should be or shouldn't be using social media. And I think the movie really speaks to that in a profound way.
What was one of your favorite moments to film, or one of your favorite moments in the film, without giving away a spoiler, I guess?
For me, well, I can't give it away, but Andrew does something very radical in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard that I'm very proud of, and courageous. And I just always loved seeing Andrew dance. I just always wanted him to keep dancing.
My favorite moment probably of shooting was when we did this. It's a scene where we're just walking outside of the graveyard. We're about to go into the graveyard before No One Special is going to do his first big performance. And it was kind of at magic hour, and we were improvising and just playing games at the three, me, Maya, and Andrew. And I don't know if it's just the experience of shooting it mixed in with how it came out, but it just had one of those magical feelings of making a movie with your friends, and one of those rare times I've ever had in my life where I'm in a scene and I'm laughing for real, and I'm not having to fake laugh because these, they're actually making me laugh. So that's a good memory for me.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for joining us, and thank you, the audience, for coming to see this amazing film. I'm so excited that you get to watch Mainstream. And we're going to just say goodbye so you could watch this amazing film.
Should we do the chant, guys?
Mill Valley. Mill Mill Valley. Mill Valley. Mill Valley.